Has got 2 today. Mac Jones to the back corner. Touchdown, Alabama. And it's Devontae Smith.
Again. And keep the clock moving. They hand it off to Smith. Beautiful play call. All kinds of running room. And an Alabama touchdown.
The red zone, Alabama with 3 minutes and change remaining in the half. Jones fires to the corner. Devontae Smith. Touchdown, Alabama. Slot, 2nd down and 9. Mac Jones, pressure coming from behind. The lob to the end zone. Devontae Smith. Touchdown.
Raving about the way Sark uses his personnel. Using Smith for a touchdown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to All 4 Downs podcast. I'm your host, Ovi Muniz, filling in for Joe Aguirre, who couldn't be with us today. But standing by, I have the rest of the cast with Big J's and Sean Scanlon. Today's focus really is about the NFL draft results, all the rookies who soon will be going into training camp, getting ready for the new season of the NFL. We noticed that the schedules are out. Football is going to happen. But which rookies will make a big impact within their organization? And we're going to start with the NFC East, which is the main focus. We have the Washington football team, who are the NFC East champs. Then followed by the New York Giants, the Dallas Cowboys, and of course, I hate them the most is the Philadelphia Eagles right now. But hey, take it from me. Yeah, of course, I'm a Giants fan. I ain't the only one, though, because I'm calling out Big Jace here and Sean Scanlon. We could be biased and everything else, right? But in the seriousness, though, the NFC East is considered the worst division of the NFL. And the big question that people are asking with these rookies coming in, is this it? Is this the end of the NFC East being buried as the worst division in the NFL? And Sean, I'll start with you.
I think it's definitely going to take a turn in the right direction. I think there's some divisions that are probably in a worse spot with teams like the AFC South. You got the Texans and the Jags. So I think it's definitely going to be much more competitive this year. I think the NFC champion will definitely have a better than 500 record. Hopefully at least, and I think that there will be at least 2 teams with over 500 records. I think that these teams are definitely taking a turn in the right direction. Washington has a great defense. They just got to find a quarterback. Giants are turning around. The Cowboys will get Dak back, and the Eagles are a big question mark, but they still have some talent on their team. So I believe that the NFC East is definitely headed in the right direction.
Hey, Big Jace, we were most of us below 500. People just teasing us. I mean, the whole entire division, especially the New York Giants, they were at least hopeful, But overall, do you see a big turnaround this season for the NFC East in general?
Yeah, I do. I mean, not only I love what all 4 teams did in the draft, but also free agency. Everyone did what they had to do. As far as that goes, Dallas, their big thing, getting Dak Prescott, his contract. Giants bringing in Kenny Golladay and other weapons, and then Washington getting a quarterback that can show that he can play for them in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and also the Curtis Samuel signing. And all these teams, and Sean mentioned Eagles are the big question mark, but they did what they had to do in the draft to get that number 1 wide receiver. So I think every team on this offseason in the NFC East took a step forward. So I do expect improvement all around.
All right. And let's take a look at the NFC East real quick as we get started here. The Washington football team made some pretty interesting picks there. They had the number 1 draft pick of 19th pick overall, Jamin Davis, he is from Kentucky. So they started with the linebacker. They also picked up Samuel Cosme, who was the offensive tackle from Texas. Benjamin Juice from Minnesota, a great cornerback who did very well this offseason, the last season. And Dynami Brown, he's a wide receiver from North Carolina. But they also stacked, especially in the 7th round, where they picked up 3 more picks. So their picks were really pretty much diverse between linebackers, cornerbacks, and wide receivers. So it's pretty interesting to see for the Washington football team. And also, I mean, the quarterback situation there. I know you mentioned Ryan Fitzpatrick, but look, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick there in that team. I mean, this guy, he is not an actual starter, man. Like, he'll get you that first 4 or 5 weeks, and then all of a sudden, he is the interception guy. How do you feel with the Washington football team here, Jace?
I like what they did. I think it's pretty obvious they're trying to have their defense win them games, and they aren't. And because, I mean, that D-line last year was really, really good, and just the additional pieces they added in the draft. I think they're really trying to hold their hat on a strong defense, and I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is serviceable enough to get through games if you have a defense that's really stout. But I don't know if that defense can be at that upper echelon, so I still think there are a lot of question marks, and a quarterback is something they didn't address in this draft, but it will be something down the road, whether it's next year in the offseason or in the next draft. They are going to need a quarterback for the future because Ryan Fitzpatrick's too old for that.
Watch the football team had a chance to get a quarterback, and they failed to do that. And this was the perfect opportunity for them. I know they didn't do well with Dwayne Haskins, but that was a bad pick in theirs. But this draft, I mean, any quarterback that you choose was worthwhile, better than Dwayne Haskins. Sean, we'll move over to the New York Giants here, and I know Jay's got plenty of it, as you two have joined about the G-Men. You guys talked about it a lot on your podcast. But in a quick review, we had Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver with overall pick number 20, first round. Azeez Ojulari, Aaron Robinson, Ellerson Smith, Gary Brightwell, running back from Arizona. And then they ended it in the 6th round with Rodarius Williams, cornerback from Oklahoma State. How's that fit in with the picks they made? Could the Giants benefit and do a lot better of what they have right now?
I think they absolutely can. I think that Kadarius Toney, they obviously got Kenny Golladay in the offseason, but Kadarius Toney gives you a guy who is really versatile. He's not just a receiver. He can come out of the backfield. He plays in the slot and outside. And the ability to get back to number 20 and get an extra first-round pick for next year, I think that's the huge story for the Giants this year is Dave Gettleman's reluctance in the past to trade back, but this year he finally does it. So he grabs an extra first-round pick, a third-round pick, and a fourth-round pick. So just stacking up that draft capital, I think, was huge. And then on top of that, getting 2 players that will contribute right away with him. And Azeez Ojulari, who might be the best overall pass rusher in this draft. And obviously the Giants need help there. They don't have that number 1 pass rusher. So to get him at number 50, I think was tremendous value. So I think these guys will all step in right away. And Aaron Robertson, the 3rd round pick. I think the Giants, they're obviously good in the secondary, but you can never have enough good players there. He could play in the slot and outside. So he's definitely going to contribute right away as well. So I think overall it was a great draft for the Giants, not just what they got this year, but also the draft picks that they stocked up coming next year.
Any player that comes from Georgia going to the Giants is always the best. So I'm not worried about that, man. That was a great pick. Great pick. But Jay's is smiling over there because I know he had plenty to say on that one. Do you agree with Sean?
Yeah, I love what the Giants did. One thing Sean didn't mention, all these guys, besides Rodarius Williams, all have special teams experience in some way. And I think a real big thing last season, a real big moment for me that made me – because I pick the Giants to win every week and I have faith in them. But a real big moment for me last year was when they gave up a special teams touchdown to the Bengals. And I'm like, That's the one where I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Something's up here. And to get guys who have special team experience, to get them to come in and make an impact on special teams, because special teams so underrated. You got to take care of the football whenever you can.
Absolutely. We got some comments from Jared Jones. I think we're supposed to say it, Dwayne High Football Team. Yeah, guy. I know what you're saying about Dwayne Haskins, man, but I think that was your favorite player, right, Jones? I'm sure you wanted him to be with the Dallas Cowboys. So, but anyways, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys here. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. Voila. Here we go. Dallas Cowboys made a lot of picks. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Total of 11 picks. So they were pretty busy. And we start off with Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. He was my favorite. I was surprised that the New York Giants didn't pick him up. But they also went with Kelvin Joseph, the cornerback. And then there's plenty of defensive players. I mean, they stacked up pretty well. They had a total of eight defensive players in that team. So they were really focused more on defense for the Dallas Cowboys, which that was their weakness, But, these guys are all rookies, man. Could they make a great impact in there, Chase?
I do think a guy like Micah Parsons, I think, has the ability to come in and make an impact right off the bat. But there was so many holes in this defense last year, and just having to sew that itself back together again, and then having to bring in all these new pieces. I do think it's going to take time. I don't think they're going to come out and be an elite defense, but I do think I like these picks, and they can fill some holes that the Cowboys defense has.
All right. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles, which is the biggest talk in the NFL draft, at least for the Giants side of the house, which I call them the biggest cock blocker there is in football history. How they ended the season purposely losing their game so that the Giants didn't make the playoffs. And then they get the trade no other than with the Dallas Cowboys just to get Devontae Smith, man. But Shauna, I'll let you have this one, man. Did the Philadelphia Eagles do what they had to do to be better than the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about better than the Giants, but I think that they definitely took a step in the right direction. I mean, they needed a number one receiver for the longest time now. The Eagles just haven't been able to draft receivers. They brought some in free agency that have been okay, but the ability to get a number one receiver was obviously the biggest question mark. I think they got that done. I would have liked to see them, add a player in the secondary, because I think aside from Darius Slay, they're pretty bad there, but to get a guy like Landon Dickerson, though, in the second round, I think was a great pick. He obviously had the season-ending injury at Alabama last year. I think that pushed him down the board a little bit, but they can obviously use some help there. They have some older guys in the interior offensive line like Jason Kelsey and Brandon Brooks. So I think a young player like him could definitely step in and help Jalen Hurts right away, because I think that's what this offseason was about, was trying to find guys to help out Jalen Hurts, whether it be on the offensive line protecting him or guys to throw to. So I think they definitely addressed that. And their third round pick, Milton Williams, is a solid pickup. Fletcher Cox is another aging veteran on that team. So I think they just have to, try and restock and reload there. So the Eagles, they got a little bit better. I still think they're the weakest team in the NFC East, but they definitely addressed some question marks in this draft.
Yeah, I'm surprised, they're trying to stack Alabama players because of Jalen Hurts. I feel like that's an issue. Because you cannot build a Nick Saban program within the Philadelphia Eagles organization. So this ain't Philadelphia Crimson Tide. This is Philadelphia Eagles. And I feel like something bad is going to happen over there. But I'm hoping that whatever it is, it doesn't matter, that my New York Giants will finish in first place and move on to the Super Bowl. It's a big wish, but it can happen. It can happen. So we're going to stick with this real quick. We'll have some questions here. And the very first one is, which player will have an immediate impact at the start of the season? So for all the rookies that have been drafted, okay, one of them is going to have a big impact. Who do you think, Sean?
I was contemplating some answers here, but I'm gonna go with Washington football team's first round pick, Jamin Davis. I just think that he's an excellent linebacker, especially in coverage. But I think that his sideline to sideline speed is great, and especially with that D line up front that could eat up blockers. I think that he's gonna have just so much room to make plays and obviously get around because the D line is eating up the blockers up front. So I think he's gonna have free ball game to go around and make some plays, and I think he's just gonna bring that defense to another level. So in terms of an immediate impact, I'm not sure he'll be the best player out of the teams that in the NFC East from this draft, but I think he will have the biggest immediate impact from week one.
All right, Jace, who you have? Who you pick?
There's one guy who I'll get to later that I think will have the biggest impact, but for this, I'm gonna say Devontae Smith because the Eagles for so long have needed that number one wide receiver, and he is the Heisman. He is like I don't understand how he dropped all the way to the third wide receiver off the board. Heisman, he's been the best wide receiver in a phenomenal wide receiver core at Alabama. So I think he will come in and make an immediate and help the Eagles as much as he can and do a lot that the Eagles did not have in the past.
Well, they thought that Chase is better than Devontae Smith, and Chase didn't. I mean, he didn't finish out the season with LSU, and people say that he's a lot better than Devontae Smith. That could be it. I mean, but no disrespect, they didn't have Mac Jones in LSU. They had him in Alabama. And of course, Nick Saban knows how to utilize his players to the full potential. But if you say Devontae Smith, I don't know. I'm not sold on it yet. I mean, this is the NFL. This ain't like he's not Odell Beckham. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy has speed. He had all the tools. I don't compare him with Odell. I don't think there's not a player there yet that's compared to Odell, the biggest impact he had at the very first game of the season. But okay. I respect that, though. I do. The next question is, which team benefited in the draft that resulted in a winning season? So with that, and like I said, we all four teams went below 500. With this draft, which team has a better impact to at least be above 500? Jace, I'll start with you on that one.
It pains me to say this as a Giants fan, but I'm gonna say the Cowboys. I mean, their offense is really, really good, and they addressed question marks on that defense, and they got some solid defensive players. I think that offense itself is good enough to make them a contender in the NFC East, but I think the additions on defense is what's going to put them above that 500 mark.
You said the offense is like awesome, right? And I know probably Dak Prescott will be back as a starter for the Dallas Cowboys. But when Dak was the quarterback before he got injured against the Giants, the Cowboys were 1-3.
Yeah.
So I'm a little skeptical about the management, the coaching side of the house, because I don't think that they don't have the right head coach yet to push this team to be an elite. But you're right.
They also had the best passing offense of all during that time, even though they were losing games. So
yeah, exactly. They were losing games because of the head coach. That's my opinion.
Yeah, their defense
going fourth down and long and inside your own 20. I mean, we're not playing John Madden on my Xbox or anything like that. But do you agree, Sean, or do you have a different team?
I have a different team, and I hate to be biased here, but someone who does have a great head coach is Joe Judge. And I think that, they were right there in some close games last year. And I think something that will bring them over the top is, one, a pass rusher who can get to the opposing quarterback at end of games. And I think Azeez Ojulari will bring that. And two, I think that Kadarius Toney, I mentioned it, but his versatility on offense, I think, will be a tremendous help, especially with the addition of Kenny Golladay outside. I just think that this offense finally has the right weapons around Daniel Jones, and I think that this draft is what's going to take the Giants over the top. I'm not sure they'll be, a couple games over 500, but I feel pretty confident in the fact that the Giants will be playing over 500 football and get back to their winning ways.
Speaking about 500 football, which team do you think is going to go under 500, Sean?
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I just think that Jalen Hurts, he's not a proven commodity yet. This defense still has a lot of question marks, and they're just a team that's really getting old at a lot of positions. Guys like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham on the defense. I mentioned the O-lineman before. Lane Johnson is also getting up there in age. So not that their play is going to diminish a whole lot, but I mean, at some point, these guys are going to fall off a little bit. And Devontae Smith, I think, is a great receiver. I think he'll definitely help Jalen Hurts a lot. But after that, their depth at the receiver spot still isn't great. They have two good tight ends and a good running back, but I think the receiving core is going to hurt them. And I think that this defense still might be one of the worst in the NFL, especially since they didn't make any moves in the secondary. So I don't think the Eagles will be terrible by any means, but I do think that they have the best chance to be a team under 500 this year.
All right, Jay, set them up.
I'm going to go with the nameless Washington football team. I do think we talked about earlier, they need a quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't going to be like that guy. And, I mean, their defense is solid. But look at the Giants. Giants had one of the best defenses last season, and they were still under 500. You still need a suitable offense, and I just don't think they have enough weapons, the Washington football team does on offense.
I'm going to be biased too. I'm going to predict that the New York Giants are the only team that's going to finish above 500.
Ooh.
I know. And no, I'm not saying they're 9-7. I still got a gut feeling that they can hit double digits, but that all depends on Danny Dimes. I think it falls on him. So depending on what he does will reflect the rest. And it goes in all four teams. Let's check this out. If you notice, all four offenses were weak. All right. They had their defense longer on the field than the offense itself, and that's throughout the season. So the record speaks for itself. That's why they were how they were. So, but talking about that, which team won the NFC East draft? Let's put it that way. The draft itself, out of these four teams, who won?
This is where my bias is going to start coming out. New York Giants won with that trade, not only getting the assets for down the line, but Kadarius Toney. Yeah, we missed out on Devontae Smith, but he can do everything that I expect Joe Judge wanted Devontae Smith to do. We wanted him to come in, play that special teams, be that returner, be that guy in the backfield when needs be able to come on jet sweeps, get the ball. I think Kadarius Toney can do all that for the Giants, be that playmaker. And then defensively, I think they are added the key pieces they needed to with Azeez Ojulari, and I think Ellerson Smith in the fourth round. I think he can develop to be a solid pass rusher as well. And then the depth at cornerback I love, especially after all the injuries that the Giants had in their secondary last year. I love that. So I'm going to say the Giants won the NFC East draft.
Okay. Sean?
Yeah, the Giants are definitely right there. That would probably be my pick too. But I think Washington football team also had a pretty good draft. Like I mentioned, Jamin Davis, I think he's one of the better linebackers in this draft, especially in coverage wise. So he makes a great defense even stronger. And then they got Sam Cosmi in the second round. That's one question on their offense on top of the quarterback that they need help with is especially their offensive tackles. So I think he was good value in the second round. And then also to get De'Ami Brown in the third round, this draft was just filled with so many good receivers that a guy of that talent was going to end up falling just because it was loaded at receiver. So I think he might be a second round type player, but he fell to the third round. So to grab Curtis Samuel in the offseason to go with along with Terry McLaurin and to have De'Ami Brown as your third receiver, I think will definitely help that offense out a lot. So they got better on defense and a little bit better on offense. So overall, I think it was a success for Washington.
Wow. I think we all look at things differently here because I was a firm believer that the Dallas Cowboys actually won this one because they focus more on defense. And Micah Parsons is like I said, I'm a big fan of his talent especially when he was playing in college for Penn State. And, watching him, especially the local area here, we're in the state of Connecticut. So most of the games for the Big Ten will focus on Penn State here, the Big Ten network and everything. And seeing him play, I was wishing that he'd be a Giant, but that didn't fall in place right there. But it is what it is. But I think because, and you guys addressed it before, like they were focusing on the key areas to improve in their defense. And I think the Dallas Cowboys did it. I think they nailed it. Now, I'm just saying the draft. I'm not saying that they're going to perform out there the way they do. But speaking about that, who will win the NFC East Rookie of the Year?
No, you can go.
Yeah, no, you go. No, you go.
Oh, I'll go. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith. I think that unfortunately, I hate the Eagles, but
Come on,
if you look
man.
if you look at the rest of their receiving core, he's gonna get a lot of targets this year. And I think that he has the ability to go against some weaker secondaries. Obviously, not the Giants, but the Cowboys don't have a great secondary. Washington has a great front seven, but their secondary still has some questions, so they'll play twice a year. And then if you look at the rest of their schedule, I just think Devontae Smith is going to carve it up, especially him being the number one target, him and Jalen Hurts having that connection going back to Alabama days. So I think that Devontae Smith he has a chance to be NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I think he's going to run away with, even though NFC East Rookie of the Year isn't a real award, it's a real award here on All Four Downs. So I'm going to give it to Devontae Smith.
Oh, the Eagles do play the Falcons, 49ers, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, all right, in the first 4 games. So maybe
Falcons secondary is bad. They can tear that up.
We'll see, but we're going to talk about the NFC South in a couple of weeks. But Jace.
I'm going to go the steal of the draft, your boy Azeez Ojulari. I think he will fit in perfectly with the Giants. You could argue that he was the best pass rusher in the draft, being able to get him in the second round, and also fits schematically. A lot of people were talking about getting a DN. No, with the Giants scheme and Patrick Graham's scheme, you want an outside linebacker to get after the quarterback. So I think if you line up him and Leonard Williams on the same side of the defense, Leonard Williams can eat up some blocks, let him get a one-on-one situation and get after and eat quarterbacks up. I'm going to go as far as to say not just NFC East Rookie of the Year. Azeez Ojulari will win the Defensive Rookie of the Year for the NFL. That's how much of an impact he's going to have.
Wow. Okay. That's what's up. You know what? It all depends on how Washington football team plays this, and the reason why I'm gonna pick and I'm throwing a curveball out there is Shaka Toney. All right, Shaka Toney is another Penn State.
I like that one.
But if they were to play him regularly on the opposite side of Chase Young, they could be deadly. Just saying, they could be very dangerous. But I know that he has to earn that spot because they have Montez Sweat as the opposite end and as a defensive end. But if they were to get smart, I think if you put him in there, he could have a greater chance. So, but defensive ends, man, I got it, linebackers, but linebackers play a lot of roles. But I'm just a big fan of defensive ends just chasing down the quarterback, man. But all right. One last question. Who will win the NFC East?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go with my bias here again, but
yes,
I think it's honestly going to be the Giants here. Yeah, so big surprise. But
look, I'm gonna tell you why. Hey, a lot of people are doubting the New York Giants again. They think they're gonna finish rock bottom. They think it's easy. That they doubted us because look, respectively, if you look at those games and the way they did the draft, I'm pretty much sure that we can at least tweak it a little bit. So those close games that we let slip away, I doubt it that's going to happen again.
I agree. Yeah, I think they're going to come away with close games this year. Their defense, who was great last year, got even better with Adoree Jackson, Azeez Ojulari. And then on offense, it's on Daniel Jones. He has the weapons this year. The offensive line is a little bit shaky, but with those weapons, I think if they can create separation right away, the O-line won't have to hold it up for that long. So I think the Giants would be my answer here. If I'm going to go with a non-bias who I think will come right behind them, I think it's the Washington football team. I think their defense is legitimate, top 5, maybe even top 3 in the league. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's up and down. He's a roller coaster ride, but I think he can get you enough wins, especially with the offensive weapons that they added. So I would go Giants, and Washington football team would be right there for the NFC East.
All right.
I'm going to go Giants as well. I think another aspect to bring up is that they're going to have a full offseason with Coach Judge now. You didn't have that last year. So a lot more growth development, people feeling a lot more confident coming into the season. So I think that's going to be a big reason. And like Sean did, I'll say my second team. I hate to do this, but the Cowboys, man. I think that offense is just going to do enough, get the wins. And, I mean, I said Ojulari, but right behind him, I think at Defensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Micah Parsons as well. So
I tell you what, a lot of people are picking the Dallas Cowboys to win the division, but I've heard that every single year. I heard it like Dak is going to do this, Dak is do that. And like I told you before, the Dallas Cowboys with Dak doesn't make a difference. If the guy got hurt while they were 1-3, and yet you still trying to king this guy like he's the best quarterback there is. Listen, he hasn't led the Dallas Cowboys to a Super Bowl. Let him know he hasn't run through the playoffs.
I never said he was the best there.
But no, that's what everyone else is saying.
I get that.
Everybody around except for no one's talking about the New York Giants. I mean, everybody's making fun of it like, who is Joe Judge? Look at Danny Dimes. He fell down and he couldn't get back up to score that touchdown. All right. But guess what? We're looking pretty damn good. Right? I'm just saying, we play hard all the way to the end, and there is no quitting. There's nobody crying. All right. And, we dealt with a lot of injuries just like everybody else, but we still kept on fighting. And that's why I believe that out of the 4 teams, the one with a lot of pride, the one that fight the most, is the New York Giants, and they'll finish in first place.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Saquon coming
back. No. And we don't need to. I mean, even the Giants picked up another running back in the draft. So, there's a lot of backup into this, and we just got to trust the system. We got to trust the process, as they kept saying. But you never know, man. You never know what's gonna happen between now and opening day in the NFL. But as of right now, I think that the Dallas Cowboys won the draft. But as far as the question that we have here, who will win the NFC East with the full roster like we've seen all together? Yeah, my money's on the Giants. So, guys, I appreciate you guys joining me here with all 4 downs. Well, hopefully Joe Aguirre will be back next week, as where our focus and attention will be the NFC North. That's right. Aaron Rodgers' story, a lot of people, hating about how his story covered the NFL draft and everything else and all this gossip and soap opera and everything. But we're going to get down packed to see who is the top dog in the NFC North. And this is a guy named, what's his name? Justin Fields? I guess he's in that division now, huh? Yeah, that's right. But hey, stay tuned next week, same time, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all 4 downs. And also visit www.clovercrestmedia.com, which you get the latest of all kinds of episodes. So tune in. And hey, if you're interested in starting a podcast, just look at that link. Yeah, that way right there. That's right. Under the live show. ClovercrestMedia.com. Check it out. And if you're interested, by all means, sign up. And we'll welcome you to our family. So on behalf of Sean Scanlon, Big Jason, myself, thank you for watching all 4 downs. We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
that.